forget thy thorn crowned brow. Lead me, Jesus, to Calvary. Lest I forget how you prayed on Gethsemane in the garden. And lest I forget how you suffered your agony on Calvary.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is an excellent day to serve an excellent God in and with the spirit of excellence. Good morning. I am Chaplain Sherry, Coach Sherry. I am your community pastor, Sherry. I am Sherry from the 800 block of Mooney Avenue. Good morning. Today is the 17th day of Lent. It is the 17th day of our 40-day journey to the cross. I pray that all is well with you and all that is concerning you. I pray that your weekend that you had a moment of Sabbath, if not a day of Sabbath, sometimes that's a whole lot to ask for, but at least some moment of Sabbath. My weekend was filled with a range of emotions from happy to sad to disappointed to anger to happiness and joy. So I went the whole gamut of feelings and emotions this weekend. But guess what? Today is a new day. It is a new day. And my testimony is that millions didn't make it, but I am one of the ones who did. Good morning, Marquita. So glad to see you today. I am a little late because I have to go in a little late today. But guess what? God is good, and I thank God for it. My weekend was filled with all kinds of emotions, but let me tell you, and I will say it a million and trillion, quadruple, zillion, gazillion times, whatever that number is, right? That if you do not have a community, if you do not have a community, a sisterhood in particular that can help you journey through the chaos, the crises, the circumstances of your life, let me tell you, you are missing something. You are missing something. So even though the weekend had a little chaos to it, right? Disappointment, anger, all of those things. The reason that I am here today is because of my community and the faith and hope that I have in Jesus the Christ. So in this life, it does not mean that situation will not come, but it does mean that when you are going through those situations, that you make sure that you have a community that is strong enough not to make you feel worse than you are, but to help hold up your hands, to bring back to remembrance who you are and whose you are. Yes, Marquita, make sure that you have you a village. Listen, today is our 17th day of Lent. It is the 17th day of Lent as we are making this trek with Jesus to the cross. These 40 days symbolize or gets its roots from Jesus' 40 days in the wilderness. And perhaps you have done this before. You have participated in Lent, the Lenten season before, and you gave up candy and chocolate and sodas and television and social media, whatever those things are. And perhaps this is a new way of doing it. But what we want to make sure is that when these 40 days are over, that we are not going to pick up the habits that we're not going to pick those things up that we put down, right? That we are developing healthy spiritual practices, healthy ways of being, doing, and speaking. So today on the 17th day of Lent, we are fasting from doing nothing. We are fasting from sitting by, seeing a problem, and doing nothing about it. That's what we are fasting from today. We are decreasing in doing nothing, and we are increasing in doing something. Or, as Alicia Britt Cole calls it in her book, 40 days decrease is fasting from apathy. Fasting from apathy. Now listen, it is so easy to get in that mind frame that, listen, I see it, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Listen, we get there many times, or we disconnect ourselves from situations or seeing something or even caring about doing something, because every time you look around, there's some type of trouble. Every time you look around in this world, so much is going on locally, in our own homes, in our own communities, in our own churches, for a state level, especially here in Louisiana, where we have a new governor that came out swinging, right? Seeking to tear down everything that was built up to give people a halfway decent chance of making it in this state. To the national level, where we don't know what is going to happen. But we have a sense of if some people get their way, they are already telling us on day one that they are coming in like a dictator. To an international level where the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is still going on, and it's just so easy to say, listen, I'm tired of all of this. I'm just going to take myself out of it. I'm just going to take myself out of it. It's apathy, doing nothing, seeing a situation, seeing a problem, and disconnecting ourselves from it, just kind of like becoming numb. And that is a very difficult place, an easy place to get in. Apathy, a place of I just can't feel anymore. I see it, but I don't care to get involved. Well, on Jesus' track to the cross, in his journey, or on his journey, he gets to the temple in Jerusalem. Now, if you want to make Jesus flip some tables, good morning, Vivian. If you want to make Jesus show you who he is from the south side of Nazareth, If you want, the question, is there anything good can come out of Nazareth? Think of your worst neighborhood, the worst community in your neighborhood, right? The worst community is it the south side of Chicago? Is it the south side of Racine, or the south side of Alexandria, or the lower Ninth Ward across the canal in New Orleans, right? Because they make a distinction here. That's where Jesus comes from. So Jesus got a little bit in him, right? On this day when Jesus goes to the temple and Jesus sees how the people are mistreated, right? And so we've got this thing all messed up when we said that Jesus was upset about them selling in the temple. That's not what it was about. It wasn't the idea that they were selling in the temple that got Jesus upset, and some churches have taken that to say, well, you're not supposed to be selling in the church. You're not supposed to be selling your chicken dinners or your raffle tickets or whatever. No, that has nothing to do with it. What the problem was, that the money changers on the outside of the temple were charging exorbitant fees that cheated the people, and they were selling sacrifice. They were selling animals that were had some type of deformity. Remember that the sacrifice must not have any spot or blemish, no broken bones, any of those things. So imagine people coming from all over the world into Jerusalem for the Passover, and they needed a sacrifice, because nobody is traveling with their doves. Nobody is traveling with their lambs or whatever it is that they were going to use for the sacrifice. So there were people outside. There were people outside of the temple who, or the people were coming with money or currency from their area, so they needed to exchange. If you've ever traveled outside of the country, then you know that there are stations along the way. There are international currency exchange places where you can go and exchange your American dollars for dollars that are currency used in that country. And there's always a fee. You don't always get dollar for dollar, right? There is going to be an exchange rate. So when people were coming to the temple, when they were coming, they were charging the people rates and fees that were outlandish. So if you want to make Jesus upset, it ain't about what you eat. It ain't about what you drink. It ain't about what you smoke. It ain't none of those things. It's about how you treat God's people. How you treat God's people. How do you handle the least, the last, and the lost? How do you handle the orphans and the widows? So Jesus comes through, and he comes in like a wild man. Now, he could have just been so and said, I don't care about this. I'm going in the temple myself. I'm going to church myself, and I don't care how these people are being treated out here. He could have done nothing. See, on this 17th day of Lent, we are fasting from doing nothing. We are fasting from apathy. We are fasting from seeing a situation, seeing a person in crises, seeing mistreatment of God's people, and doing nothing about it. And doing nothing about it. And so Jesus takes a whip and turns out the place. He turns out the place. Now, this is not the little baby Jesus born in Bethlehem, wrapped in swaddling clothes, the silent night Jesus. This is the Jesus who is on a mission, and he comes and turns the tables. He is engaged in holy anger. My friends, this is what got Jesus to the cross, because he is turning over systems and practices that keep people in chains. That keep people in chains. Good morning, y'all. I guess you're here because I can't see nobody. I can't hear nobody praying with me this morning. I cannot hear anybody praying with me this morning. So if you're just coming in, I'm Coach Sherry, Chaplain Sherry, your community pastor Sherry from the 800 block of Mooney Avenue. Now you see me getting this makeup applied, but listen, don't be in this space looking for me to give you any makeup tools, tips, or techniques, because I'm just doing what I'm doing while I'm doing it. On this 17th day of Lent, we are fasting from doing nothing. We are fasting from not caring about. Not caring about, no longer see. And listen, I get it. Sometimes you're just tired because there's so much going on. And sometimes you just become numb because, as the song says, everywhere you go, there's trouble. Everywhere you go, there's strife. Everywhere you go, there's just something that's bothering you. And so we say, well, what can I do? I'm just one person. What can I do? Well, you can't change world events. And you may not be able to change national events. But my God, you ought to be able to see your neighbor. And I'm not just talking about somebody who lives next to you, but you ought to be able to see your neighbor in a situation that somebody is mistreating, mishandling, and you say something or you do something about it. We are fasting from apathy this morning. We are decreasing. Y'all see how this eyebrow won't do nothing for me this morning. We are fasting from apathy. We're fasting from doing nothing to doing something. We don't ever want to get in a place or remain in a place where we just no longer feel, that we just no longer care about what's happening all around us. That we always want to be alert. And this kind of like falls into what we talked about earlier about we don't want to be just a spectator, but we want to be a participator. We want to do something. So my prayer for us today is that we ask God to reinvigorate us, to give us that spark again. Number one, a feeling. Because being a state of numbness renders us useless. It renders us ineffective, right? And we want to care about what God cares about. We want to care about what God cares about. We don't want to just see a problem and not do anything about it, or even care. Get to the point where, right, where we care. We no longer, that's not the state that we want to be in. We want to feel and hear the cries of the people and then care about doing something. Listen, y'all. This is the 17th day of Lent of our 40-day journey. As always, if you have found value, now don't share it, don't like it, don't put no comment, don't do anything. If you have not found value in this space, but if you have, I need you to like, I need you to share, I need you to do something to get this out to your clique, your church, or your crew. Now y'all be blessed and may all be well.